I had discovered a version of Tukko who was unremarkable, which I couldn't imagine at all. The Tukko I knew radiated exceptionality, even when she was just sitting in the classroom. Fascinated by that, people gathered around her, like moths to a flame. I was one of them myself, and I was struggling to be more special to her than the rest. That was why I wanted to know even more about Tukko. But now, come to think of it, as I went down the stairs, I recalled the conversation from before. I wondered if the person Tukko said she was a step or two behind in beauty might have been her sister. A sister who was almost exactly like Nanami Tukko. I never knew her, but I was sure she must have been extraordinary, especially if she really was like the current Tukko. It was possible, even, that Tukko was intentionally imitating her dead sister. But why? I could think up several reasons, but I wasn't certain about any of them. In the end, I had no way of knowing unless I asked Tukko herself. I wonder if the reason Tukko was so particular about the student council play was related to her sister. This was the very thing that I had wanted to know someday, and that someday had abruptly arrived. As my thoughts grew all the more muddled, I found myself in front of the student council room. Since I'd said I would come, I couldn't silently turn back. I doubted Tuko would be angry at me, but if I broke a promise, no matter how trivial, it would hurt my own pride as well. Thus, I entered the student council room. As usual, two of the upperclassmen were present. The president wasn't, and then there was Tuko. Oh, Sayaka's here. Tuko, who had documents and files spread all over the table, broke out into a bright smile. Unlike me, she was her usual self, though that was to be expected. Would you mind helping me out with some of this work? Of course. I was less likely to overthink things if I was doing something. I put down my bag and sat next to Tuko. She seemed in a good mood, possibly because her job had just been made easier. I think I'm so glad Sayaka's here, at least once a day. That's quite an honor. I felt like I'd given her a similar response once before. Normally, her compliment would have made my heart soar, but I was too distracted at the moment. As I started my work, I glanced over at her face in profile. The perfect Nanami Toko. Tactful and courteous. Someone who would walk ahead of me. If she was just imitating her older sister, I wondered where the real Toko was. I had wondered before what would have happened if we had met in elementary school. But if Toko really was the way the girl had described, I wonder if I would have been drawn to her at all. During that time in particular, I'd been so caught up in elevating myself, I might not have even bothered talking to her. Then what about now? If Toko's perfection was a facade, then what had captured my heart all this time? My hands turned over the files automatically, as my mind churned about other matters. The student council and Toko's sister. I could probably find answers if I looked into it further. But was that really something I should just go around investigating for my own selfish purposes? If someone was digging into my past, I would find it unpleasant and would respond accordingly. But if it were Tuko, I might be happy that she was trying to understand me. I doubted whether Tuko would think of me in that way, but ah, my thoughts were getting a bit off track. At any rate, snooping into someone's past without permission was a bad thing. That was fundamental, and there was no way I could be swayed about that. I could either step in and make my move, or pretend I had never heard anything. The fingers that held my pen filled with power and heat. I didn't need to torment myself for a night or two. The answer was already clear to me. When it came to Toko, I couldn't resist the urge to know about her, no matter what.